Get rich slowly. Okay, one person. All of those people who would like to get rich quickly, you can go home. I can't help you. And no financial advisor can help you.
Right.
But I have good news. Everybody here, everyone, can actually get rich slowly. And I'm going to talk to you about the secret of doing that. So the real secret is called the power of compounding. Albert Einstein, one of the greatest scientists that ever lived, called the power of compounding the strongest force in the universe. And I'm going to give you a story. Quinn and I were talking about this earlier. Who here, if I asked you, if I gave you a penny on January 1, and on January 2 I gave you 2 pennies, I doubled it. And on January 3 I doubled it again and gave you 4 pennies. And on January 4th I doubled it again and gave you 8 pennies and then 16 pennies. And I did that for 31 days. Would you rather have that amount at the end of 31 days? By the way, does anyone know how much that would be? Not exactly. Would you rather have $10,000 or all the pennies? Is there anyone here who would want all the pennies?
Of course.
Okay. Is there anyone here who would prefer the $10,000? Because here's the answer. When you double the pennies, that's called compounding. And it doesn't have to be a double. It could be if you invested for your retirement and you did 10% a year, it would actually double, your investment would double every 7 years. Well, with the pennies, if I doubled the pennies for 31 days, you would have $10.7 million. What? That is the power of compounding. So, if, for instance, you invested $1,000 and you did it at 20 years old, and that investment grew, and you never put in another penny, $1,000 at 20 years old, which is a lot less than we pay for our cars and probably our really cool sneakers, it would double every 7 years. So if you did it at 20, it would double at 27, at 34, at 41, at 48, at 55, and at 62, and that's 6 times, and if you kept going at 69. So that would be 7 times. So 1,000 would become 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, 16,000, 32,000, 64,000, $128,000. It would be $128,000 when you retired. So, why am I telling you this? Because if you have not started building wealth and saving money, because there's a lot of expenses coming up, if you haven't started and you don't have an account, well, the best time to do it was yesterday. The second best time to do it is today. Now, a lot of people say, well, I've got a baby and I have medical expenses and rent or housing costs, cars, gasoline, groceries. It's hard to save. And so I completely understand that, but there is a way to save a little bit at a time, because if you want to hire a financial advisor and you think you're going to mail in a check to your financial advisor every week or every month, you'll never get around to it. That money, if it's in your account, gets spent. It happens with everybody. So the way to become rich slowly is to put it on autopilot. And I'm going to give everyone here an opportunity and an explanation of how you might do that before we leave. And one of the important things to do is A lot of people here we don't live alone, and we live with family members, we have boyfriends, we have husbands, we have ex-husbands. The people that you live with, for me, that's Dilma. And we talk a lot about money and our dreams and our aspirations and what we want to do when we retire. A lot of ladies here are still in their 20s and having babies. I'm a really old guy, as can be seen from my hairline. But let me tell you, I was 23 years old and graduating from law school. It seems like I blinked, and here I am. My kid was born in 2002, and I blinked, and now he's graduated from college. It happens fast, really fast. You know, a lot of you who are now having babies, you probably blinked and you were done with high school, and now you're having a baby, and it moves fast. And my brother has a saying that life is like a roll of toilet paper. It spins faster and faster as you get toward the end. And that's what happens. And so you have to plan now, you have to put it on autopilot, and you can build wealth, not only for yourself, but for your baby. You're bringing our next generation in. And when you do that, and you plan your path for financial independence and freedom, you're also giving your child the best chance at success. And it doesn't matter what you tell your kids are going to watch the way you handle money and the way you handle your life and the respect that you have for money. If when you get a raise, you go out and buy a cool pair of wheels for your car, or you buy some bling for your wrist. By the way, this watch is about $25 online if you like it. So I'm all about building financial success, and Dilma and I in our personal lives have modeled that behavior, and I think my son sees that, and your son or your daughter could see that as well. Now, how could you do it if you don't have a lot of money right now? And remember, we said the best time to start was yesterday, if not today or Monday, but I'm going to pass these around. This is a sheet, and it's going to show you, and I'm going to tell you what the first chart shows what could happen if you invested only $5 a day.
Wow.
Now, some people might say, $5 a day is a lot because there's 30 days in a month, and I took multiplication in high school. 5 times 30 is $150. That's expensive. I don't have that. Okay, maybe it's $2 a day. But I want you to look at the chart carefully, because investing $5 a day, after 5 years, it's almost nothing. After 10 years, it's almost nothing. But you know what? Eventually, it starts to take off, and this is why the power of compounding works. Remember the penny example that I gave you. On day 1, it was only 1 penny. On day 2, you added 2 pennies. Now you got 3 cents. And then you added 4 pennies. Now you only have 7 cents. But you know what? Between day 30 and 31, it went up over $5 million. Because once you build a certain amount of nest egg, it starts to take off. So at $5 a day, if you did that for 40 years, which if you're 20 today and having a baby, 40 years from now at $5 a day, you would have $400,000. And that's, I think, growing at 7% annually, which is less than the stock market as a whole. Thank you, Gabby. You're handing out the flyer. So the top chart shows $5 a day, and you can see it really starts to take off after about 20 years. So it takes time. I can't make you rich quickly, but I can help everybody here become rich slowly. Now, one really simple way, and I told you that I was going to give you a tool to use, and it's something that both Dilma and I use in our personal lives, and it's an app on your phone which will help you build wealth. And that app is called Acorns. And there's two things that Acorns does, and I'm going to explain that in a second. And by the way, at the end of this discussion, we're going to have a sheet where if you give us your email, we will, your cell phone number, we will text you a link. And that link allows you to sign up for Acorns. If only 4 people sign up for Acorns here, then we will receive, not we, the Preggo Organization for Women will receive $1,100 from Acorns. And that will go to help other people like you. Now, here's the kicker. Likewise, you could do that with 4 friends. And if you do, by the way, you could start this with as little as like $10. If you text the link and get 4 of your friends to sign up and put in $10, they will put $1,100 in your account at Acorns. Free money. And you can use that as an emergency fund. You can use that as a college fund. You can use that for whatever purpose you want. And if you want the money, I'm encouraging you to leave it there and let it grow. But if you need the money, you can go into the app. It's connected to your bank account. Hit a few buttons. In a few days, it'll be in your bank account. And you can have $1,100. And it's a fantastic opportunity. The way Acorns works is you choose whether you want to be conservative, moderate, or aggressive, and it automatically puts together the investments for you. My recommendation is moderate because it won't go up and down so much, but you'll have gains in the long term. And you set it and forget it. There's another magical thing that it does. You can connect the Acorns account. You can enter in your credit cards or your ATM, and each time you make a purchase, it will round up to the nearest dollar amount. So if you purchase something, say for $1.50, it'll pretend it's $2, that extra 50 cents. Every time that extra money equals $5, it'll pull $5 from your bank account and invest it for you on autopilot. You can also set up a monthly or weekly contribution. I recommend you do it weekly or monthly, where you have $10 come out or $20. I think Dilma has $50 every single month that's going into it. I have even more. And this is a great way to start building wealth on autopilot. You don't have to send a check. You don't have to do anything. By the way, if you're rounding up or you have automatic deposits and things get tight, you can go into the app and hit a few buttons and hit stop. And it'll stop until you go back on and reset it. But this is a great way to start building wealth. And again, just a few dollars a day. Now some of you say, well, I can't find a few dollars a day. If you're on the way to work, stopping at Dunkin' Donuts, and you're buying a coffee and a donut, you're spending $3 to $4 every day. I just found you enough money to make hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time you retire. If that money's going into the markets over the long term, you have built a retirement fund. But you have to put it on autopilot, and you have to do it for the long time. And that's why I can't help anyone get rich quickly. In fact, I have a saying to clients that I work with: if you have a financial advisor who tells you that he's going to make you rich quickly, run and find a new financial advisor. Wealth building for most people takes a long time. And that's why we retire usually in our 60s or 70s or later. Most people here who are having babies will end up working in some form or fashion until they're 70 years old. And frankly, if you're in your 20s now, there's a good chance you'll make it to 90 or 100 with all the medical advances. Talk to Dr. Clark about that, not me. But I will say this: everybody here can start building wealth. It will help you and your family, and most of all, the beautiful babies that you're bringing into this world. And you'll be able to provide them with a better life and better opportunities. I'm available to speak to anyone who has questions. And again, I will put together a sheet here. If you give us your name and cell phone number, we'll text you a link, which will allow you, the charity will make some money, and hopefully you can invite 4 of your friends and you'll get, right now it's $1,100. Acorns changes this amount all the time. I will show you on my own phone if necessary where to go on the app to invite your friends. And you can get right now $1,100 if you invite 4 friends. Quick story before I run. My son is in college. He has a couple of roommates. He convinced them to do it. They got the $1,100 and they ended up with like a 60-inch flat screen TV and a bar. So, thank you so much for listening. I'm available for questions. I wish all of you the best. And thank you, Preggo organization, for winning.